Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learned in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are, get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. This episode, I am back with a summer bonus episode, and my guest, New Zealand's First Lady, Amanda Luxon. With the change of government late last year, it's a period of adjustment for the Luxon family. So I have Amanda here to learn more about her and who she is and how the family is coping with the adjustment of being thrown into the spotlight. Amanda, thanks for coming in.
Oh, Paula, thanks for asking. Such a privilege to be here.
Do we do First Lady?
Look, I think Amanda sits good. So yeah, no, I'm still Amanda. So we'll run with Amanda. How does that sound?
There's not many people in life that would ever have the opportunity to be called a First Lady, though, is there?
No, I guess it's not traditionally a New Zealand thing, is it, the First Lady? So it's not something we've in the past sort of, cultivated. So,
no.
But it's popping its head up. But yeah, fundamentally, yeah.
I got married while I was in Parliament, and the only thing that Alan would grimace at and absolutely was when he was called Alan Bennett. I obviously kept my name and he would just go, that is a step too far.
Well, he wasn't demasculated by that at all, was he? No,
he wasn't too happy. Okay, a couple of housekeeping rules from me. The first is I'm allowed to ask you anything, but the good news is you don't have to answer.
I don't have to respond to it.
No, you don't.
Thanks. Thank you for that.
Because that's a good tip for life,
it is,
really.
It is. Or I'll just segue you onto something that is much more interesting.
And I'm really easily diverted, to be fair.
You are.
A short attention span, so that's good. And we are a safe space, so we sort of call it the no judgy zone.
Yeah, judgy, no judgy.
Yeah. I do that with my daughter. Do you do that?
I do. Yeah. No, tell me everything and we'll just, deal with it as it comes but no judgment. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, quick fire questions to ease us in. Who would you have at a dinner party? They can be alive, dead, realistic, non-realistic, whatever you want.
Oh, good one. Maybe Edith Edgar.
Oh.
Yeah. Such an incredible woman. I love her books.
Yeah.
I think it would be fascinating to sit down with her. She's got this incredible experience, but also this amazing profession that she's taken her own life experiences and has used it to really work with other people. So I just love to talk to her about her past and her, how she's, developed her career and some of the cool things she's come across. Yeah, I think she'd be amazing.
And what would you cook for her? Do you cook?
I do cook. I was not blessed with the cooking gift. I'd like to put it out there. But, I'd do a nice salmon, with some, I love a good salmon with some lovely sort of spices and, maybe a beautiful salad. That's what I'd cook.
Does Christopher cook?
Look, he does cook. I think at the moment he doesn't cook. No. That could be the step too far.
Yeah.
But no, he's very competent. He can do anything he needs to do.
Okay, so let's get to know you a little bit better, and then we're going to sort of talk a bit more about public life and the adjustment into that, because I think people will be interested and how you support a spouse that's in a big job, right? But where did you grow up? You guys both grew up in Christchurch?
Yeah, Christchurch. So I grew up in Christchurch, and so sort of round about the sort of the Avonhead area, and my parents owned the corner store, and as a little one we actually lived over the store. So we had in the days where we had the Morris Minor van and we delivered all the groceries up into the hills, and we had the petrol pumps out the front and the meat department in the back. So that was sort of my younger years. And then I was at Riccarton High School and Canterbury University.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of I grew up through that space.
So you must have been around people a lot then, because it's more or less retail, right? So you're in, you're there. Were you working in the shop?
I did indeed. And in fact, I am probably the world's best packer of groceries, because we were taught by my father that there's a specific way you pack groceries. And even today, I have to hold my tongue when the groceries boundaries are being thrown in. But yeah, I did. And, you know, in the early years, it was, you know, just popping a piece of butter out. And as we got older, we were able to earn, you know, we would earn money for our hours in the shop, which was really good, which was a little bit.
So you've described yourself as an introvert before.
Yes.
Would you, when you were younger then, would you have been described as shy?
I think so. And I recall feeling shy per se, do you know what I mean? Which was I had smaller groups of friends and, you know, close friends, but I didn't have that big mass amount of, you know, friends, but I had very close relationships with that. So that's definitely when I look back, you know, you look down on yourself as a young person, I would say, yeah, definitely on the shyer side. And
because the two of you and Christopher met at high school, right?
Sort of high school, university, years.
And so then for someone that's a bit introverted and that's the thing, because he's not, then you must have stood out to him though. He must have, did he? Or, I mean, how did you
Well, maybe he stood out to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting in that, you know, you look back now on him and he was quite charismatic even back then and very extroverted as well. And you know how sometimes sort of you can follow people and they're just sort of the life of what goes around. And he was definitely one of those people. So we met actually at a progressive car rally.
Oh, really?
For those of you, some of you may not know, maybe too young for that, but so basically a progressive car rally is where you move from house to house and you have a different course at each house. And in the process of moving there, you do a car rally, so you're given a whole lot of activities and, you know, you've got to drive through McDonald's and, you know, pick up this and count how many houses there are between this place and that, and you write it down and there's, you know, 4 or 5 of you in a car and you're all racing around together. Yeah. So it was a really fun activity, but it finished at his home and they'd not long come back from Auckland. And yeah, I met him there. We happened to end up in the kitchen getting a drink together and we started chatting. So that was our first introduction and we just sort of kept crossing paths and just started to get to know each other and it was really fun. So we just sort of, you know, were friends for quite a long time and would go and do things together and yeah, and then it's sort of...
And he describes it as a true partnership. And I suppose, and is there something in that kind of opposites attract, obviously, as well, but it must be a nice... I mean, my husband and I are very different people.
Yes.
And it kind of works with a bit of the yin and yang, right?
It does. I think you need to have some fundamental core things that are the same, though, and that's where it really works. So our core values are the same and our sort of direction was the same. So a lot of those things that really help, you know, gel a relationship were the same, and then those have grown and developed as we've grown and developed. And what's been really beautiful is we've been able to be individuals and grow individually, but actually grow at the same time in the same pace, which has been really good. So the difference is great in that Christopher's the ideas man, and so he'll come up with the ideas and I'm the implementer. Yeah. So it works well. So he'll sort of come up with it and then I'll work out how to make it happen. So there's really good things like that.
Because you lived 16 years overseas.
We did.
So that must have been having your ability to actually pull that together, because logistically that's a lot. And you had young children, right?
We did. Yeah, we had...
Oh, you had children overseas, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, we had one in Australia and one in London. Yeah. So I think we got some really good systems going. We've always co-parented really, really well. And we sort of, William would often say, you two are just like one when it comes to parenting, which is really good. So they could never play one off against the other. But what is really good is we had a system, if we moved countries, then I would often come home with the children back here to New Zealand for... 90 days is what we said. You've got 3 months. Go do the new job for 3 months. And then when we turn up, you're on and you're on for us. So focus on the job, get through that 90 days. We'll be happy as Larry back here. But when we turn up, I need a house. Actually, famously, when we came to Chicago, he turned up with jackets and boots because, of course, we went into winter and we'd never seen cold and snow that way. So he came to the airport with our winter gears. So it worked really well in that respect. And he always has had a policy, we've had a policy that when he walks through that door, he is present and he is with us. And that's made a huge difference, particularly with, the children as well. Because when Dad comes in, we're the most important person in the room.
Yeah.
It only needs to be for 10 or 15 minutes and then they're off doing something else. But at home, he's present. If he's on the sports field with them, he's present. He's not on his phone. He's not doing anything else. So there's lots of little things as we've moved and travelled that we've worked really well.
Yeah. Was it important for William and Olivia to know that they were New Zealanders? And you say bringing them back for that sort of 3 months would be interesting as well.
Yeah, really interesting. And fundamentally, that's one of the reasons we eventually came back, which was both William and Olivia were what we call third cultured children. And what that means is they were born somewhere, they lived somewhere else, but actually identify with, a different culture.
I don't think I've heard that before. I like it.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one. So they always had New Zealand passports and they were New Zealanders and had a very strong, and we built that identity. We came back every year and they would have considered themselves New Zealanders, but they had all these large cultural aspects of, where they were living, and predominantly it was the US because that's where most of their sort of, formative years were. And so us travelling around the world, we always knew we were New Zealanders. We always knew we could live anywhere in the world, but New Zealand was home and we could come back anytime.
Yeah, nice.
And I sort of was starting to think, where do the children anchor to? And it was incredibly important to us that they anchored back to New Zealand. And so one of the things and thoughts for us coming back was that we wanted to come back so that the children would be able to anchor into New Zealand so that later on in the life, they could do what we did, which was go anywhere and do anything they want, but New Zealander.
How old were they when you came back?
Yeah, so Olivia was year 5 and William was year 7.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so it was good. It was hard for them to leave. They knew that they were leaving, but it also was quick for them to
readjust.
And then they were stable for those secondary years, which was really important.
But they're both out of home now, aren't they?
Are they? Olivia is. Actually, William is currently at university, so he's actually at home with us, which actually is quite nice because with Christopher being away, 2 or 3 nights a week, sometimes 4, he's around and good company and nice.
And you had Olivia's graduation last year, didn't you? You must be a proud moment.
A really proud moment. It's, for these guys who've gone through COVID and particularly her having been in Melbourne, there was all that cross-border, problem for her. So they did go through a lot. It changed the way they did university. Melbourne's a really hard university to get into and to get degrees from. So I'm incredibly proud of her resilience and her, determination and her focus and so it was a really fantastic day.
So the two of you are coming up 30 years married.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah, I know.
Do you have any tips for anyone on what you think makes a successful marriage?
Yeah, good question, Paula. There's a couple of things. I think there's a big part around choice in a marriage and you do wake up every day and you actually choose to really love and respect the person that you're with. And Christopher wakes up and every day he'll say he loves me, which is really amazing. Yeah. So, and it's just really nice to hear. So one of the things is, a marriage is only going to work when you're both really invested into it. And so you need both people invested and working on it. And you're always working on a marriage. You never take each other for granted and, you appreciate what they bring into your life. And it's never about, for us, it's never about, oh, you've got this, I need to have this. It's all about how can I help you achieve what you want to do? And then for him, it's how can I help you achieve what you want to do? And at the end of the day, everyone gets what they need.
Yeah.
Because we're all looking to make sure that everyone's, getting what they need out of that relationship. And I think it's really important.
So that communication, right?
Absolutely.
And just being able to say, these are my needs and this is where I'm. And recognising that in the other person as well.
Yeah, and really wanting that for them. And so it becomes something that you're giving, actually. And so you're both giving, so you're both receiving, which is neat.
We're gonna talk more about it in the second half. But with him now being, he is the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and there is no bigger job, and so it kind of is all about him, and his work is so bloody important. Quite frankly,
it is. It's really important.
It's about more than him. Actually, It's about this country and its people and the direction that we head, and he is the most powerful person to kind of do that. But it does kind of make life all about him.
Yeah, it does. But I believe in him, and I believe in what he's trying to achieve. So though it's not really about him, it's actually about the bigger purpose than him. Okay. He's making it happen, but actually it's about what we want to achieve together. And there is nothing that comes between us. And actually, it was funny, on election night, someone said to me, "Oh, so do you think you'll get your husband back?" And I said, "Well, hold on, that's actually a misnomer, because I actually never lost him."
Yeah.
There is nothing that comes between us. So, and this job won't come between us, because it's something, he's making it happen, but I'm there beside him and helping him do what he needs to do really well.
Yeah.
So, if that makes any sense.
No, it's beautiful, actually, and I understand that completely, and I think I get exactly where you're coming from. Do you think that William and Olivia will, you're still in the early days and that sort of thing, but, there was something when, I know the Keys, that when they'd go out for dinner, it would take him, 20 minutes to get to the table, because obviously everyone, and in the beginning that's lovely, but the kids get to a stage where it's just like, could we just not sit down and eat?
Yeah. And that, Christopher is a big people person. And so that, that's probably can be very frustrating to get in or out of a room at times. But it's always been like that. This job has amplified it. But he is a people person, and he is genuinely interested in people and their stories and their struggles and what's happening for them. So that hasn't changed. It's amplified now. I think one of the things that was really important to me was I really wanted the children to have left school and been on their own adult journeys before Christopher entered into politics, because I did understand the pressure that would put onto them. And so with regards to that, it's quite lovely, because they're off doing their own things, and they're, masters of their own lives. And we come back together, and it's really great. We just might not go out to dinner quite as much. It might be bring in. So those kind of things.
Which is nice as well.
Yeah, but, Christopher made a huge effort, and he flew in for a few hours to go to her graduation, and that's what matters, and that's what's important. He prioritised her in that moment. She'd worked incredibly hard, and it would have been really significant if he hadn't turned up for her, if he hadn't been at that ceremony for her. So he can still show them that they are important through his actions, and he's on the phone with them, and, so there's lots of things.
With respect, that also sent a really nice message to parents and families around the country as well. Actually, there is nothing that is more important at times than recognising your own family and children, and I think that's a really important message as well.
Yeah, and there's that balance, because it's important, because as you said, this is a job, and so it's a season, and so what you say is, the season at the moment that really is the priority. We've had other seasons where I've been the priority, or the children have been the priority. Yeah. At the moment, this is what we want to do, and this is what we want to achieve. And so that gets everything. And at some stage that will end, and then there'll be a different season. And so when you can keep it and manage it in that respect, then the big problem is when you start to resent things. And I think resentment in any form is a very devastating behaviour, because that then starts to build division, whether it's between you as a couple or you and a family. So you always look to make sure there's not resentment, and you talk about it and you set it up and ensure that doesn't happen. And so in this one, this phase, there'll be times of frustration, I'm sure. Yeah. But we've got the same vision. The kids are connected to that same vision of service. In our family, service has always been really important. It's about using what you have and what skills you have to really work out how you can give back and improve the lives of others, because all of that means nothing if you can't do something with it, to help others.
Yeah.
And that's what we've built our entire culture and our family on. And so the kids understand that. They understand this is a really important role and that he's doing something really important, and respect him for it and respect the goal and the vision. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are the Luxons spending summer?
Yeah. So we're going to spend it at the beach.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, which will be really good. We're hoping this year we just might get the boat out. Last Christmas, the weather was so appalling.
We didn't either.
The 2 weeks that we were at the beach, the boat never went in the water. So I'm really hoping we'll get out and do some fishing and,
Does he bait your hook?
Oh, please, does he bait my hook? I am the one that pulls the fish. I would like to say, actually, we have the lure that we don't use bait.
Yeah, okay.
We have that little orange lure that
they're
flips
cool,
around.
right?
Yeah, I really love it.
Yeah.
I'm not good with the bait or the killing of the fish or anything like that. So yeah. So,
but you've pulled in a few fish.
Oh, I've pulled a few fish. Yeah, I'm yet to pull anything really significant. But that probably requires us to sit for long periods of time, and we tend to put the rods down, and if nothing comes up in about 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, no, there's nothing here, let's move on. So we'll move the boat around. So possibly as fisher people go, we're probably not the most resilient of it. Yeah.
And still learning a bit. I mean, you've been fishing
learning.
with that, because you just bought the boat a few years ago.
We
didn't you?
did.
It takes a while.
I think it does. I mean, there's a lot to know about where to go and what to put it and how to do it. And that would just take time and energy. And look, as long as we've got enough snapper for dinner, I'm good.
Yeah. No. My husband's obsessed, and I'm averagely obsessed, so that's okay.
Yeah, no, you are you've done a bit of fishing.
Yeah, no, I am a bit fanatic on this as well, which is where we find our thing that we can enjoy and do together, you see.
Absolutely.
So that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got so much more to talk about, and we've already touched on quite a bit of it. I'm going to take a quick break, but let's talk more about that, adjusting to public life, some of the strategies that you're going to be used to deal with some of the criticisms and some of the tougher times, and how we get through that. So let's get right back to it. Very soon, Amanda, we are going to talk about how you cope with being in the spotlight and, particularly being the introvert, and how we sort of get through that inevitable criticism that's going to come. But firstly, you were quite the talking point of election night.
Oh, hysterical. I didn't even know for several days.
It was just hilarious. So, you were the talk of the town, and it was all about your biceps.
All about my biceps.
I just laughed because Christopher went, she's always had biceps. I don't know why it's such a story.
They've always been here. And in fact, I've done a few articles previously, and nobody noticed the biceps before that. So I was laughing, and I didn't even realise till several days later, because I don't read social media, and someone sent me a photograph, and I'm going, what? Where is this?
Yeah. Everywhere.
Anyway,
Hey, I was on TV that night, and we were talking about it. So I'm sorry, it was a very much. So how do you keep the biceps? Do you do weights? Do you do?
Yeah,
you're a ballet dancer. Sorry, I'm leaping around, aren't I?
Yeah, ballet dancer from way back. So I think for me, I'm a really active person, and what's really important to me, as I said before, my exercise is my thinking time. So, and particularly as I get older, there's the real recognition that, there's lots of things that can go wrong. There's the osteoporosis, there's injury, there's all of those kind of things that can happen, particularly for women. And so for me, everything I do is all about injury prevention.
Yeah.
And, bone health and all of those really, really good things. Because if I get injured, then I can't do what I really love doing. So, I do twice a week, I'll do about 10 minutes worth of weights, and that's it. That's all I do. But I think it's more about the fact that I will spend quite a few hours in the garden. So it's about functionality for me. That's where it all stems from, because I want to continue to lead the active life. I'm out lifting, pulling, moving. I'm a big DIY person. I do.
Are you?
I am. I do most things myself. I'm now proudly able to plaster and paint. So that's a new skill I've developed recently. But so it's really about being able to maintain that. So I don't spend a lot of time, lifting weights and things. I put it into my, exercise regime because it's important for that strength and that functional strength and that bone health. And that's really what drives that for me.
And is diet important to you as well then?
Diet's important in that I do like to make sure I've got quite a clean diet. I just don't eat a lot of carby, sugary type things. But my preference is fresh anyway. So, this is just such a fantastic time of year because the berries are out and all the beautiful salads and things like that. That's just a preference. It's not something I've necessarily cultivated. It's just where I naturally go.
Everything is. We all know it, right?
Absolutely.
If I eat that nice piece of salmon or a piece of snapper and a beautiful, like the tomatoes and the avocados at the moment and everything like that, I feel better afterwards.
Yeah,
right?
you do. Yeah. And but it's important to make sure, again, leading an active life, you want to be able to make sure that your body's actually getting the nutrition it needs and the energy it needs at the right point. And so I don't focus a lot on my food. I just basically choose healthier,
So Christopher lost some weight last year and it was noticeable. Sorry, but I'm not being, but it was really noticeable. So was that about him looking after himself better?
Yeah, it really was. Parliament is, and Paula, you know this, Parliament is a really difficult place to eat well, being on that, campaign trail, even being around Parliament in the crazy, crazy hours you do, and then getting access to really good foods. So he sort of came into, he's always been a really active person. And, when I first met him, he can pick up a ball, a sport. He's incredible. He is so good at anything like that. And that was a big part of what he, used to do. And again, the work is quite sedentary as well. There's a lot more sitting around as well. So I think once he sort of got into Parliament and sort of got going on that, working out what it was and then got onto the campaign trail, he knew that to be able to maintain that pace, again, he needed to make sure that he was looking after himself with regards to his food. So again, it was just looking at what he was eating and basically just cutting out sugars.
Yeah.
That's it. If you can do nothing else, cut the sugars and just keep eating those really good things. And so he just made more of an effort. I had a very strong word to a few of the people that were around him.
Yeah.
I gave them that eye, that look, that you will be responsible to me if you hand him bad food.
Yeah.
And just motivated a few people around him to make sure that they were putting, making good food available to him.
Okay, so it's been a few months now. So what have the initial challenges been of him being the Prime Minister? From a family perspective.
From a family perspective. Yeah, a couple of things. I think one is just perhaps not having the freedom to move around quite as easy as we previously did on two regards. One is that he's highly recognisable now, and because he is a really big people person, he does want to stop and talk with people and, find out what's going on for them. So if we're out walking, for example, people want to stop and chat. But so I've just told him, just keep your eyes down if we're out walking.
Yeah.
Don't look up because he likes to, make that contact. So there's that aspect. And then we obviously have some security with us now. So if he goes anywhere, somebody needs to know where he's going and they need to be with us. So the spontaneity is a little bit more difficult. We have to just, be thinking a little bit further ahead. So we can't just sort of jump in the car and go somewhere anymore. Yeah. But we'll iron that out as well. And I'm just incredibly grateful for the people that, are the DPS that work with us.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Amazing people. And Christopher comes home every night and I'm just really grateful for the service that they give and we do everything we can to sort of help them do their job really well. So
good on you.
Yeah.
Hey, so for you're in the spotlight as well. Do you find that hard?
Yeah, still, it's quite funny at the moment because I was good up until maybe the election. A few people would recognise me, but now I'm in that phase where people look at me slightly strangely and go,
"Oh, how do I know her?"
Yeah, I know you. Are you on television? Are you?
Yeah.
And,
And you're on the cover of the magazines and
on the
so
cover
all
of the
that,
magazines.
yeah.
But I don't always, wear hair and makeup, like on the magazines. So there's still that slight, change that I don't always look the way I do on the magazines, with my hair scraped back and in my running gear. But I'm getting a little bit more of that. But I can still move around freely and things like that. So,
But does the attention with you being a bit more introverted, how do you cope with
Yeah,
it?
really interesting
Let's be
question.
honest, because Christopher kind of probably loves it, and I'm someone that would love it, right?
Yeah,
most
yeah.
of the time, not all the time.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, Paula, because there's sort of I still am me, and fundamentally none of this changes me, and actually none of it changes Christopher as a person. But so you sort of almost guard yourself a little bit by almost being a home Amanda, and then sort of there's also this other sort of person that people know as well, and they're the same person, but I think you guard yourself by surrounding yourself with people who you really trust, and they're the people you listen to, and I think that's really important because so much of it, I think the biggest thing for me is so much is out of my control. I can't. What is in my control is how I respond to what happens. And so I get to choose how I respond to what's said out there. And that's a really important way to be very disciplined about what I think and what I see and who I talk to. So I don't look at social media at all. I have no social media platform at all. I don't read social media. I don't look at it. I choose which current events, I choose to read. I'm very up with what's going on in the world, but it's a choice to listen to who I want to listen to.
And there will be criticisms, right? I mean,
there will be criticism. Yeah,
we're different, and we already see some protests and things like that. And unfortunately, a fact of that life is for some people they get nasty and they get personal. And
that's a really interesting thing. I think for me, the most frustrating thing is that many people have the inability to separate an issue from an individual, and I actually think it's a very, very problematic thing that we have in society, and you see it a lot with our young people, which is everybody's entitled to an opinion, but you're not entitled to actually attack people personally about that. Attack the issue. Politicians sacrifice a huge amount. They should be really, really respected. You're not going to agree with everything that they think and say, but it doesn't need to become very personal. And unfortunately, the way social media has worked out, you can sit behind a computer and be very personal and attack a person personally in a very anonymous way. And it's a big problem, particularly for our young people who are getting a lot of their identity from their social media. So it's really important that we separate out and say, I can criticise your record, I can criticise your response, but I'm not going to criticise you personally. So I would never make personal attacks, but that's not how it works. No. And that's where it gets very nasty and it can get very offensive as well.
So you can close yourself off to it a bit by not being on social media. How do you then work with William and Olivia, who are younger, and it is a part of their engagement?
Yeah, it is. They're both really disciplined with their social media as well. Yeah. So they don't live on social media. Right from when they started, they had a low social media presence anyway. So we've taught them to choose. Yeah. We've taught them to be selective about what they look at, what they engage with, and that they keep control of that. When they lose control of that, that's when problems come. Okay. So if you can make those decisions for yourself and not allow other people to make those decisions for you, then you can choose how you respond. So it's really important.
You could almost learn some lessons from what you saw with Max Key, even what you saw with Clark Gayford, because, look, Max was so young.
He was really young, and social media was really, it was just coming to the fore for him.
But, both kind of used social media for different things and then copped quite a lot of criticism for it. And I have an opinion on whether that's right or wrong. I think it's wrong, quite frankly. But they did. So how do you protect... do you worry about that for William and Olivia?
Yeah, no, I don't worry about it for them with regards to both of my kids are really mature and they're really responsible. And that is now, you always, with your children, you lay down the principles and then you hope that they then take that on. And both of my kids understand the pitfalls of that, but are managing it really well. And so I'm not really concerned. I'm more concerned about the things that are said that can go into the sphere even if we don't know about them. Do you know what I mean? Because when you don't know about it, you can't be harmed by it. But there's always in the back of my mind that there are lots of, not very nice things going on out there.
But others can watch some, from a safety perspective and that sort of thing. I just know I went through a particularly bad time where, really lies and all that sort of thing we've been told. And it just got to a stage for my own mental health that I couldn't see it and my family, but I still had to have someone monitoring it actually from a safety perspective. Yeah. And it wasn't really nice for them, I've got to say, but you can have people that can do that.
That's what's happening currently, I believe, that there are people that are watching it.
Because you don't
so they're on top. It's again, do not need to know about it,
Yeah. No, I'm totally it. Okay, are you going to Michelle Obama it? So, well, you both got guns, you both, but no, what I was slightly serious about was, do you think there's a cause or there's something like that you might, are you going to use your newfound fame and position perhaps for something? You've talked about service and the importance of it.
Yeah, well, I already have quite a history of service anyway, so I've spent... a lot of time, Olivia and I have spent a lot of time, since about 2015 in the anti-trafficking space, which has been a really big focus for us. So I've done a lot in that. My passion is really about women and children and parenting. That's where I have a real focus in my life. So I currently sort of mentor and work with mums who are working with children with neurodiversity, only in a support role. And I just think parenting is one of the hardest things that we get to do. And we don't know what we don't know until we need to know it as well. And so I have a number of women that I work alongside with and just help them in their own journey. So babies, children, and having come from an education background, that education is really important to me. So they're my focus. And so I will look for things that I can really add in that respect, and then continue with the sort of, the trafficking thing over sort of COVID and thing has sort of died down a little bit and with the campaigning, but it'll come around again at some stage. So I've done some work in Uganda as well with an organisation that works with women who have, had, through the war lost, were abducted and helping them get educated and those sort of things. So I've got lots of sort of fingers in a few pies like that. And they're really important issues to me because, our children are our future and they're just such amazing little humans. That,
and helping those parents, God, it's a tough job.
It's a tough job. And again, we don't know what we don't know. And so anything you can do to really sort of support and help that process of bringing up children is a real passion of mine. So,
yeah, fantastic. Okay, any top tips, finishing up, any top tips for, having your significant other in such a public and such a, such a spotlight role?
Yeah, top tips. I think going back to what I said before, which is you cannot allow anything to come between you. So it doesn't really matter where he is. We still feel incredibly connected. And that's the key thing, that that there'll be nothing in between us. And that just gives this beautiful trust and security. So that's my top tip. Don't let anything get in between you.
Okay, I love it. The podcast is called Ask Me Anything, and so this is your one little opportunity where you get to ask me.
I love that. You're such a brave person.
I know. Every time I do this bit, I hear it in my voice where I reluctantly say.
And you didn't even ask me to submit 10 possible questions to you before.
No, I didn't. No.
So there's no
I am completely
filter.
blind.
There's no filter here. That's a really good one. I love that. As a daughter who's got aging parents, because I'm in a really similar situation that my parents are in their 80s and are both doing really, really well, but it's a different stage. You've got your children and, you've got your parents and you're sort of caregiving both sides of that still. What do you reckon would be your biggest challenge and what would be your biggest tip about, helping with aging parents?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking, and I heard my mum say the other day to someone, Paula's always in a hurry. And I thought, I don't want her to think that. And sure, sometimes it is just going in, here's the groceries, I need to pay this bill for you and I need to do the logistics. So now I make a point of trying a couple of times a week where it's like, would you like to play a game of cards?
Yeah.
Or turning up with something for us to actually do.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I need your help with.
Yeah. Empowering them. That's really important.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip.
I know this sounds so rude, but my mother's always been like, the joke of the family is, my mother does washing, and just is fanatical on it, to the point where my father used to say that, he'd have his clean clothes on the bathroom floor and hop out of the shower and they'd be in the machine. There will not be.
That's her sense of caring,
that
though,
is
isn't
her,
it?
that's her thing. So, the other day I took one of my curtains round and it was, how will I wash this? And do you think this backing will be okay? And, and so, we were able to do that together. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but...
Well, it's not. It's making sure that they still know that they've got real value and wisdom, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tapping that as well. So, yeah.
So I'll ring her when I'm on my way home and go, I'm going to be cooking this tonight. And I was thinking about putting maple syrup in with it. Do you think that's a good idea? Because I don't think you did. And she would go, no, it's not. And so we would talk about that.
Yeah.
So it's not, because I did find I was getting into the kind of looking after.
Yeah.
And not letting them be the parent or the friend even.
Yeah.
So I've been a bit more conscious of that the last few months.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because it's continuing to allow them to make those decisions and have that control and feel useful, and so that's a really good point. Yeah.
And my mother's refusing some health treatment at the moment, and I just completely advocate for her. As I say to them, I say she's an adult that's perfectly capable of making up her own choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's her choice at the moment. So as you say, I think actually empowering them as well and not being, too dominant. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yep.
Thank you so much for coming in. It has just been so nice to chat, and your honesty and openness is just absolutely lovely. So thank you so much.
You're very easy to talk to, Paula. Well, I've forgotten I've got a massive microphone in front of me. So.
Well, I just wish you and your family and all of you just all the best, for the journey ahead, because there will be ups and downs and roundabouts. But I don't know, I feel like we've got the most awesome couples that are helping to run it all. So thank you. Right, that was our summer bonus episode of Ask Me Anything, Season 4. I will be back in March with another season, more advice and fabulous guests for you. Make sure you follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also read my weekly column in the Herald on Sunday. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.